priceless experiences. Napa Valley, grind tasting, spoiling my women friends. Sitting at the table with millionaires. The narrative is tax loops, accounts offshore squares. It's not allowed.
We are live, we are live, we are live. If you can see me, press 1, and if you can hear me, press 2. If everything is good on your end, run me that 12 in the chat. Welcome back to Coin Gang, the #1 home for personal development, the place where you come ordinary and you leave extraordinary, the place you come to get a new perspective, a better insight on things. But if you can see me, press 1, and if you can hear me, press 2. You know, we follow certain philosophies over here, and one of them is top shelf or nothing. So if everything is good on your end, let me know in the chat by giving me a 1 and giving me a 2. I really, really, really do appreciate it. Happy Friday to you, wherever you at. Hopefully you are safe, you are loved. We check all the levels. What's good to y'all, internet land? How are you doing? Be safe this weekend. Don't spend all your bread, right? Don't feel the need that you have to go do something, right? And spend all your bread and then start Monday morning waiting on the next check, man. Shout out to everybody that tuned in with me last night on our private call where we read chapter 7 through 9 in the art of and science of personal magnetism. We will be right back at it again, maybe Sunday, so be on the lookout for that. I appreciate y'all, right? I got a great group that does participate, and I appreciate them very, 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 very much. This is the #1 home for personal development. This is ministry for the abstract mind, right? This is a safe space for everybody out there with an out-the-box philosophy. So salute to y'all. I want to tell you that keep your babies close. Keep your children close. Check on them. See how they're doing. Give them the aux cord so you can see what they're listening to. And if you got somebody in your life that you're loving and that's loving on you, hold on to it. Because as they say, the grass isn't always greener. If you're on Facebook, right below is a supporter badge. That means you support the ministry. So when you show up and you get a supporter badge, that's your monthly indicator to tell everybody I'm rocking with this thing over here, right? It's this little heart thing. It has a blue thing on it, right? Go ahead and get that. If you're on YouTube, you can go ahead and join. This is how you'll know when we're doing our private calls. Cash App is your friend. Super Chat is your friend. And by the end of this conversation, if the drip was really, really crazy and you want to follow up, you can. I'm going to post in the chat below where you could put yourself on the calendar to go ahead and book a game session. I don't do life coaching. I correct your game, okay? I correct your way of thinking, and I push you right back into your own self. So the link is in the chat if you want to follow up with me. And now that we pay some bills, I want to tell you that my movie of the day is one of my favorite movies of all time. I grew up on this movie. I know this movie word for word. I was a youngster watching this movie, and I wasn't supposed to because the language in it was crazy. But it was at a time when rappers used to be in each other's movies and they worked together. My movie of today is none other than Who's the Man? Shout out to Who's the Man. This was my favorite movie coming up. As you can see, it got Dr. Dre in it, Ed Lover in it, Run DMC, Ice-T is in this movie, Heavy D is in this movie, Criss Cross is in this movie, Guru, Queen Latifah, Salt and Pepper, Coogee Rap is in this movie, House of Pain is in this movie. This was my shit right here, right? I grew up on this flick right here, man. I watched it every day. I was a young dude, man. I knew this movie word for word. I found it on the VHS tapes. It was in my sister's stash. And when I watched it, I got hooked on it. You know, it was real dope to see the rappers working with each other. But, you know, it's a funny movie. It's a classic. And it is my movie of the day. So shout out to Who's the Man. Today, we are going to talk about old dope and new dope. What's the difference between old dope and new dope? we're going to talk about how come there's no oppression in your buying. For all of you that say you're oppressed, I should be able to see that based on what you spend your money on, right? Because oppressed people will buy things that counter their so-called oppression. So we're going to analyze if that's true. So we'll look at where you spend your money to figure out if you're really oppressed or not, right? And we're going to talk about being born to consume. There is a way to sell to the Negro, and we are going to check that out. And my conversation, our conversation, the build of today is BBB. What does BBB stand for? Anybody in the chat? What does BBB stand for? Because that's our conversation. But I want to see who we got in the building that knows what the acronym BBB stand for. Shout out to Dark Sister. She knows. Blacks been ballin'. That is the conversation today. Blacks been ballin' part 2. America's forgotten grinders. Oh, they know. Blacks been balling. Yeah, blacks been balling. Yes, they have. These blacks have been balling. And that's what we're going to talk about. We are going to talk about America's forgotten grinders. Do you know why I'm talking about America's forgotten grinders? It's because people seem to only know about people that have been killed by the police. And that is a tragedy, but life goes on. While that's happening, other things are happening too. And I want to speak to that. I want to speak to the other things that are happening in the world and that have happened, because everybody didn't get killed by the police and everybody didn't get lynched. When that was happening, there were some people that were balling, and they should have their story told too, because under this sun, everything is going to happen. Some people are going to be rich. Some people are going to be poor. Some people are going to be in jail. Some people are going to be free. Some people are going to be married, not married, kids, no kids. Some people are going to be sailors, pilots. All those stories should be told, right? But the Negro only has one story told, and it is a story of despair. It is a story of hurt and pain. You would think that whatever creator out there is in the cosmos designed the Negro to suffer. That's how they tell the story. The reason why we are going to look at blacks been balling is so it brings balance to the narrative. Because when you keep telling one side of the story, I personally believe it is reconfiguring people's DNA. I could be wrong, but I'm pulling from the information from Dr. Bruce Lipton on the biology of belief. You should go check that out. How environment begins to code the DNA and we begin to believe certain things, right? So that is our conversation today. Blacks been balling. So shout out to everybody that know about them triple Bs, because that's what the gang we repping over here. Triple Bs. They'll tell you stories of oppression. I'll tell you stories of the balling. Come to me if you want to learn about the balling. Go to them if you want to learn about the oppression. That's a balance. The group might be small, but that's okay. We'll all be able to fit on the private jet together. All right. I want to ask y'all something. What is this? Now, I do claim that I believe I have the smartest people on the internet rocking with me. So when I throw something out there, they know. What is this right here? Anybody? What is this? What are we looking at here? Crack. Yeah. I told you I got the smartest people. I told you I got the smartest people. Yeah, it's crack. Some of y'all mamas was on it. Some of y'all daddies was on it. Some of y'all have sold it. I know a lot of y'all have turned a new leaf, but y'all definitely know what this is. Ladies and gentlemen, this would be considered the old dope, right? This dope right here was very, very, very devastating. This dope right here had a lot of effect on people's lives. This dope right here took mothers out the home. This dope right here made people that worked for public transportation, it turned them into lifelong junkies to this day. People had college degrees, and one hit of this dope right here changed their entire bloodline. This dope right here, some would consider was biological warfare, right? What did it do? Psychosis, depression, sometimes heart attack. It led to heart disease, stroke, respiratory failure, reproductive damage. I mean, this dope right here was devastating. When Hillary Clinton made the super predator laws, she was talking about, or the super predator comment, she was talking about the environment that was bred from this kind of dope. A lot of people made a lot of money, but a lot of households was deeply affected by this kind of dope. But there's a new form of dope, okay? And this form of dope is equally as devastating in this form of dope, right? The difference is, though, this new form of dope is about dopamine, right? So human behavior is controlled by natural chemical reward system in the body. For example, we like to eat fatty foods because it makes us feel good. It is a release of dopamine that is the chemical reward responsible for good feeling. Dopamine reinforces behaviors essential to our survival. Okay? So this new dope is about dopamine. This was the old dope right here, though, right? There's a new form of dope, ladies and gentlemen. Do y'all know what the new form of dope is? It's not a chemical that you take on the outside, but it does produce a chemical. It produces dopamine. It's a euphoric feeling. Does anybody in my chat know what the new form of dopamine is that the people are getting high on that is producing dopamine? Believe it or not, when the blacks talk about their pain, when they talk about oppression, when they talk about systematic racism, that produces dopamine. This is why it does not matter what you're talking about. It's always going to talk about, they're always going to go to the wealth gap, and they're going to look at the outcomes of the wealth gap and say, because of this outcome, there must be something wrong with the system. But they don't talk about the cultural values when it comes to success in America. They only can see that everybody's broke, but they don't know why everybody's broke. So it has to be the system's fault that it's broke. It has to be something wrong going on. But the thing is it's not crack right now that people get high off. It's conversations of racism. Why do you think certain political parties, that's their go-to? They always talk about race. There's a story in the NFL where a guy is being discriminated against. How come every news media outlet picked that story up? Because what is it going to do to the blacks when they see it? They're going to say, see, look. But in that, they're making themselves high, right? It is the new crack. The new dope is not something that you take on the outside. The new dope is a belief system that is happening on the inside that is producing that dopamine, that euphoric feeling. Let's read it again. Human behavior is controlled by natural chemical reward systems in the body. For example, we like to eat fatty food because it makes us feel good. Talking about race makes the Negro feel good. Talking about oppression makes the people feel good, right? It's a chemical spike, and it's so embedded in the Negro as a collective that It's something that gets hit every day. Even though people could be making the wrong decisions in their life, they're still going to link the way their life is to outside forces. But we should be able to see if this is true. We should be able to look where people spend their money. Because if you're at war, what do you spend your money on? Okay, the question is, because we're about to analyze where the money goes, right? If you're at war, what are some of the things you would actually spend your money on? I just want to know. I'll put some comments up. You tell me, if you're at war, what will you spend your money on? Right? What will be the proof that you're at war? Ammunition. Okay. Okay. Bribing. Okay. Okay. Weapons. Right. Okay. Water. Okay. That makes sense that you would spend your money on water. Okay. Food and ammo. That's smart. Right. Armory and food. Dark Sister says technology. Right. Knowledge. Okay. You're going to spend. No, when you're at war, you don't spend your money on entertainment. This is what the blacks spend their money on, though. But we're about to look where all the money goes, right? I just wanted to make sure that I'm not tripping, because if I was a person that thought that I was at war, what I would do is I would exhaust all my resources for defense and extra supplies, for sure. Allies. Thank you, Chris. That's how people behaves when they're at war. You begin to spend your money on defense, right? And then as you build your defenses up, you begin to go on the offensive. So I want to see if where the money is going matches up with the claims. Are y'all ready? Would y'all like to know where the money's going to? Press 1 in the chat if you're curious where the money is going. Just press 1 if you're curious. We ain't gonna be in nobody business too long, because we got to get to blacks been balling, right? Right? Because that's what this is about. But if you would like to see where the money is going, just press 1 in the chat. Okay, so y'all nosy as hell. All right. So y'all nosy. All right. So let's see where the people that are talking about systematic racism and oppression, let's see if their money is being spent on where y'all said it should go. Okay, let's find out. So this is as of 2018, right? So this is a black consumer categories where African Americans move markets. And this is about 4 years ago, okay? So 4 years ago, as of 2018, not too long ago, this is where blacks spent their money, okay? Let's read it. Black consumers speaking directly to brands in unprecedented ways and achieving headline-making results. Throughout 2017, popular brands witnessed the power of Black Twitter and the brand impact of socially conscious Black consumers. Through social media, Black consumers have brokered a seat at the table and are demanding that brands and marketers speak to them in ways that resonate culturally and experientially. I'll butcher a word. Experientially. I'll tear a word up. If these brands want their business. And if the African American spending 1.2 trillion annually, brands have to a lot to lose. So Black people wanted brands to make it better for them to consume. Hey, we want these kind of products. Okay. It would be smart to say, hey, we went in on investing, but that's neither here nor there. We're talking about people that say they're oppressed. So let's look at it. Diving into the dollar spent, Black consumers and consumers of color alike are making considerable contributions to the overall market in some cases representing more than 50% of overall spending in key product categories. For example, half of the total spent, 494 million on dry grains and vegetables in the US in 2017, came from consumers of color. And Black consumers represented 147 million in the total spending in that category, which has recently made advances in product creation to meet the demand of their diverse buyers. Let's get into where the Blacks spend their money. The power of multicultural consumer dollars. All right. So all the way to the right is percentage of the total spend attributed to consumers of color. In the middle is total spend. All right. So if the Blacks are being oppressed and the Blacks are facing oppression and racism and they're at war, we should see that show up where the money is spent. But let's see where the Blacks spend their money. Okay? Dry vegetable and grains, 472.3 million. Baby food, 817 million. That means it's not a lot of breastfeeding going on. Personal soap and bath needs. Let me blow that up for you. Because for some oppressed people, y'all do smell good. For some people that are facing systematic racism, y'all take a lot of showers. Y'all got the most fierest soap. Y'all very scenty people. For some people that are at war, something is not adding up because you can't be this scenty and be battling war. Like last time I checked, war is devastating. Last time I checked, people are perishing. And unless it's a different kind of war, then I get it. But y'all haven't said it was different. But for personal bath needs, 1.3 billion. Oh, fresheners and deodorizers, 707 million. Juices, 2.3 billion. I'm waiting to see where the money is being spent on to battle oppression. Hold on. Wait a minute. Is that it? Oh, no. Hold on. More. Ethnic hair and beauty ads. AIDS, beauty aids. 54.4 million. Women's fragrances, 152 million. Feminine hygiene, 54 million. Men's toiletries, 62 million. Personal bath needs, 573 million. For some people that are being oppressed, locked out of the system, for the people, y'all do smell mighty good. Look what y'all spend the most too, though. And this could also be linked to the cardiovascular disease. Frozen unprepared meat and seafood, 761 million. Refrigerated juice and drinks, 578 million. Shelf-stable juices and drinks, 1 billion. Spices, seasoning, and extracts, 430 million. Bottled water, 810 billion. Insecticides and repellents, 176 million. Chewing gum. So y'all body smell good and y'all breath smell good. $122 million in a year. Shortening oil, $352 million. Household cleaners. I have not seen ammunition pop up one time. Household cleaners, 407 million. Detergents. Y'all wash a lot of clothes too. 829 million. Cookware, 136 million. I'm waiting to find the oppression. Even on charcoal, logs, and accessories for cooking out, $43 million. Now, this is the spending habits according to Nielsen's 2018 demographics of where people spend their money. And I wanted to look to see if the people that believed that they was oppressed, would that show up in their spending? And what I found is that the people smell hella good. What I found is hella deodorants and hygiene products, even cookout utensils. What I found is flavored drinks, processed meat. None of this would indicate to me that the collective believes that they're oppressed. This is why I can't believe you, because your money, where you spend your money, that shows where your heart is. If you believed in systematic racism, if you believe that you was actually being oppressed by America, I should see this in your spending habits. Personal soap and bath needs. I would definitely say that the Black American smells the best. Out of all the people in America, the Black America is hella scenty. But oppressed, I don't know about that. Because I should see something here in some type of doomsday prepping, right? I should see something about bow and arrows, knives, guns, camping equipment, right? What I see is spending habits of people enjoying their life. Now, I wouldn't have any problem with none of these spending habits if it wasn't coming from people that are telling me that the system is not being kind to them. This is very interesting. Do y'all get the point? Do y'all see where I'm going? It doesn't add up. I'm going to tell you what oppression in America for the Blacks look like. If the Blacks in America does not have the ability to consume things, that's what oppression is to the Negro in America. I'm talking today. I'm not speaking of nobody in 1920. If the Negro can't consume or buy things, that's oppression. If you can't buy none of this spices, gum, shelf-stable juice, refrigerator drinks, if a company doesn't allow the Negro to buy this kind of stuff, that what the Negro would be considered oppression. And I'm going to prove it in a second. This has nothing to do with living a better life. The Negro is not being denied better life because you know why? Because we got so much stuff in America, the Negro gets everything, right? So when one of the companies doesn't allow the Blacks to go in, they say Louis Vuitton or something, they'll say, oh, racism. It's always about spending, right? The Blacks will march on your restaurant if you don't let them in and eat. That's what oppression and racism is for the Negro in America. It is about consuming. We have the proof. But let's find out why, though. Let's find out why. Because psychologically, the Negro has been studied because the blacks are born to consume, not born for business. Born to consume, right? Let's find out why. Because we're going to get in to the black steppers in a second. We're going to, the blacks that I want to show you, these blacks are not known for consuming. They're known for putting on, but yet no one wants to talk about these people. I wonder why. Because there is an inferiority complex when you talk about triple Bs. Them triple Bs be having people like, well, everybody can't do that. Them triple Bs be like, well, they're just outliers. That's what the triple Bs be making people feel. See, them triple Bs, when we peel back the layers, them triple Bs show us that we're actually underperforming, right? Them triple Bs, if you don't know what triple Bs is the blacks that been balling or balling ass blacks, whatever have you. It puts pressure on us because what's our excuse? Because we have the internet, we have resources. There's no reason why we can't run it up when we have a history of blacks that have been balling. But let's figure out why the Negro spends that money where it was at. There's a reason. Some of you probably seen this, but we'll watch it again because it will align with my topic. And I just showed you where to go in business. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. You see what people is feeling, you sell it to them. There's a reason why. Let's figure out why the Negro spends where he spends. Video time, ladies and gents. Fair use, fair use. Let's find out where the Negro, why.
Hello, I'm Bob Trout. I've got a story here that I think is big, really big, because it's bound to have a terrific impact on business. I'm talking about a new market, a big new market, millions upon millions of new prospects with $15 billion to spend. That's right, I said 15 billion. That's a lot of money, isn't it? The surprising thing is that it's a fresh market, still full of opportunities. It grew up so fast, got so big in a hurry, that few of us realize its scope. Now these days, nobody's likely to pass up chances to sell. And yet right here in our own front yard, there's a neglected market. There's money waiting to be spent. To get the story of this market, to be able to tell you the secret of selling the Negro, we did a lot of digging. We talked to leading businessmen, the customers, and the salesmen. We went to Washington, D.C. We set up cameras and other key points around the nation. And out of this all, there emerged a story, the story of a new market.
Which one of you have the ebook or the book or the documentary, How to Sell to Whites? Groups of people sit and study the behavior of the Negro, right? What do the blacks do? Right? Y'all study Egypt so much. Can't get no money from that. You want to go to Africa to go to Egypt. You don't want to go to Africa for business. That is against the American ballin' blacks. That is not our heritage. Our heritage is capitalism. But let me shut up.
Yes, this is the market we're talking about, the new Negro family. Their name is Wells or Wilson, Smith or Brown or Alexander or Breen. They live in Chicago, in Atlanta or New York, in Detroit, St. Louis, Los Angeles, any one of 1,000 cities and towns. All over the country, families such as this are enjoying new prosperity. They have new interests, new standards of living, a buying power they've never enjoyed before. They're good prospects for practically all types of goods and services. All too often, though, they're overlooked prospects. Why? Because of some good, valid reason? No. They're overlooked because of mistaken ideas, because of out-of-date ideas about how the Negro lives and how he buys. The truth of the matter is that the Negro lives pretty much the same as other folks. He buys pretty much the same way, too. But just the same, a lot of old doubts and opinions keep cropping up over and over again.
I don't like to do business with Negroes. They're drifters. You can't keep track of them.
Yes, although a lot of people think that way, the truth is that 1 out of every 3 Negro families living in cities today owns its own home. That figure comes directly from the United States Bureau of Census.
1 out of every 3 were homeowners. And did you see the comment I just put up? What I tell you in the beginning? Where's that? Look, they make my point. I'm aware of this video. I've seen it several times, but I'm still not going to forget the horrible past of the Negro. What is this? Dopamine. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? This video was showing a couple with their children, and the only thing this person could think of was something horrible. What did I tell you? They throw me alley-oops every single time. Right? What I told you. I seen a dude with his children. We ain't even get into the video yet, right? Y'all seen it. I told you that talking about that is a dopamine rush. It's a chemical thing. The biology is configured for that. It feels good that even though I'm looking at a great image, I still have to remember this horrible past. Why? Not for anything but a feeling. I told you this is the new dope. This is the old dope. This dopamine, this conversation right here, that is the new dope. Thank you, human being, for playing along in my game. You're right on time. As usual, you are going to do exactly what I say you're going to do. Guaranteed, because the Negro's easy to be studied. Works like a charm. You will go to that pain body no matter what.
Maybe so, but Negroes are poor credit risks.
Not more of a credit risk than any other group. Actually, the Negro homebuyer meets his payments faithfully, often more faithfully than other race groups in the same economic level. That's the information we got from people who ought to know, the National Association of Real Estate Boards.
Well, maybe, but I've always heard that Negroes buy shoddy, poor quality merchandise.
No, it's just the other way around. According to leading researchers, in proportion to population and income, Negroes buy more quality products than any other comparable United States group.
Wait a minute, man. So the blacks 1 in 3 own their home. The blacks pay their bills on time more than everybody else. And they buy more flyer shit than everybody else. And this was in 1954. So we paid our bills on time the most. 1 in 3 own homes. Interesting. This sounds like a very responsible people.
You see, there are a lot of confused notions about the Negro customer. But when you dig right down and find out about them, they just don't hold water. Negroes own homes. They meet their payments faithfully. They buy good brands of merchandise. So why let a lot of old-fashioned ideas hurt profits? Take a look at the real facts. Here in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, some amazing facts and figures about this new market have been uncovered. For a first-hand report, we would like to take you directly to the United States Department of Commerce to hear this story from the Secretary of Commerce himself. Here is the Honorable Sinclair Weeks, the Secretary of Commerce of the United States.
In the Department of Commerce, we are constantly alert to trends that mean a healthier national economy, better business for the nation as a whole. Recently, we have been interested in a rising young market, one that represents a huge potential for goods and services. I'm referring to the new Negro market. The tremendous buying power of this group is backed, of course, by an increased earning power. The average Negro family's income is at a record high. In fact, since 1939, it has increased more than the average income of all other Americans.
Really?
Just take a look at a few figures. An official Department of Commerce report shows that at least 1/3 of the Negroes living in cities earn from $2,000 to $5,000 a year. Today, the average Negro wage earner brings home a paycheck 4 times larger than the one he collected in 1939.
Really?
As a whole, the Negro market has a total income of about $15 billion every year. And after taxes, Negro families still have many billions of dollars to spend. Here is a buying power that cannot help but have a tremendous effect on our national economy and on business prosperity in general. When these dollars are spent for a wide range of goods, services, and employment, business everywhere is bound to feel the impact.
This new buying power has resulted in a class Negro market, a profitable, above-average income group of consumers. For example, the nation's largest newspaper and magazine research organization, Daniel Starch and Staff, reports these significant figures. More than 51% of the readers of Ebony magazine have a record player in their homes. Almost 64% own a television set. And almost 78% enjoy the convenience of an electric refrigerator. It is also a fact, and this is from the magazine The Food Field Reporter, that Negroes spend almost $3 billion a year for food alone. Per capita, they buy more cosmetics, drugs, and toiletries than anyone else in the country.
Even in 1954. Even then. What I just showed you was from 2018. This is in 1954. Even then, more cosmetic products. Do you know why? I didn't read it to you on that article that I showed. It's because of the cool factor. The Negro, the Black American, has the cool factor. That is very important. That is priority number one. You can't be oppressed or at war and you have a cool factor at the same time. So we're going to down that argument. That's over. We already know that's cap because you're spending all your money to be super senti. You're super senti, the sentiest person in the country. You smell the best, have the most deodorants, the most detergents, the super scent. If you was an X-Man, your ability would be to smell good.
And their children are better educated too, because since 1930, enrollment in Negro colleges is up 2,500%. But really, to recognize the importance of this class Negro market, we must realize that something has been happening economically in our country. People are on the move. The population is shifting. The makeup of metropolitan populations today is different than it was just a few short years ago. To give you a better idea of what we mean, we set up several cameras, candid cameras, in a number of shopping locations. Take a look at these shoppers. Notice what a large proportion of them are Negroes. What's the reason? It's simply this. Negro families are moving into the cities where there are more job opportunities. Here they find occupations with more prestige and security, jobs that pay more money, As a result, Negro families today often make up the largest part of Central City consumer prospects. A shoe store in Chicago's Loop, for example, reports that more than 50% of its customers are Negroes. In another case, a drugstore located at a transfer point in a non-Negro neighborhood finds that its Negro customers total 25%. The trend is plain. The new Negro families today are moving into more populated areas, to the cities, where there are more stores, more buying opportunities. Since 1940, in San Francisco alone, the Negro market has increased by 89%. In Chicago, by 81%. Houston, Texas, 45%. Philadelphia, 50%. The impact of this new buying force is so tremendous that actually in 14 major United States markets, a product cannot be number one without Negro support. A product must have the backing of this big new buying power to be a leader in the field.
This is 1954. Y'all hearing this, right? This section that we're on is born to consume. Y'all hearing this, right? So I want y'all to know anytime the blacks are disgruntled, it's not because of human rights. It's because the inability to buy things. If a brand discriminates against the blacks will protest to buy, protest to eat at the restaurant. Now, this is 1954. Nothing has changed.
What do you have to sell? Chewing gum or cars? Toothpaste or transportation? Whatever it is, here are millions of prospects. And these prospects are everywhere. Negro customers can no longer be pigeonholed. They cannot be classified as prospects who trade only in certain stores, certain neighborhoods. Today, Negroes shop downtown. They shop in supermarkets. They shop in small neighborhood stores. They'll buy from anyone who wants to sell to them. But we all know that before you can sell to customers, you've got to get to know them. You must understand something about them. What do the Negro customers buy? Why do they buy? How do you sell to them? Let's find out. Let's hear the opinion of men who have spent a lifetime studying the buying habits of customers the world over. Here is what sales psychologists have to say about selling to the Negro.
The secret of selling to the Negro is expressed in one word. That word is recognition. Now, there's nothing unusual about that. People want to be recognized. They need recognition. That's basic in all of us. But perhaps because he's had so little of it, the Negro needs even more. He needs to feel important and appreciated. This need is a very real and important one. It shows up even in many of the Negro's shopping habits. Anyone who sells or wants to sell to the Negro customer should know about some of these habits. 3 habits in particular play a big part in every sales transaction. To begin with, most Negroes buy by brand. They ask for products by name. They're quick to turn down off-brands. Do you wonder why? Well, listen to what this customer is thinking.
That last hat I bought just didn't hold up at all.
You see, for a long time, the Negro has been sold a lot of shoddy, second-class merchandise. So now he asks for name brands in order to make sure he gets his money's worth. Buying by brand, that's the first important Negro buying habit.
Y'all heard that, right? That's popping today. If you ain't shared the video, you're tripping. If you ain't liked the video, you're bugging. So this is 1954 though, right? This is sales psychologists, right? Negro buys brand, right? It's very, very difficult for a black mom and pop or a black business to go up against Nike or go up against if you got a dish detergent or laundry detergent or smell good to go up against those brands. That's very difficult because this is 1954. Those parents pass those spending habits down to their children. So when you're trying to sell something, they're looking at your product like, This is why many blacks go into franchising, because it's better to just do business under the McDonald's or Burger King umbrella, because that's what the Negro is going to buy. If you open up McDonald's and McDowell's, they're going to McDonald's.
Now for the second. The Negro buys good quality merchandise. Symbols of quality and prestige are very important to the Negro customer. This woman, for example, is buying fine crystalware, but she is also buying the admiration and approval of her friends and relatives. Listen to her thoughts.
My, isn't it beautiful? I can hardly wait to show it to Sally and Joan.
What's different now? The sisterhood is buying things so other women are like, oh, wow. I'm not knocking it. It's American behavior. It just doesn't align with people that say they're oppressed. I'm sorry. I don't see it.
It's a well-known fact that many Negro customers are influenced by the opinions of others. What their friends may think of a certain item often decides whether or not the sale is made. So remember, the Negro buys quality merchandise. That's the second important point. And here's the third thing to remember when selling to a Negro customer. When he specifically asks for one thing, don't try to sell him something else. Don't try to switch him at the point of sale. If you do, he'll probably react something like this.
Doesn't he think I've got the money to pay for it?
There's a reason for this reaction. Again, because he's had experience with cheap merchandise, the Negro resents being offered a substitute. He wants to be sold on quality, not price. The Negro buys by brand, he buys quality, and he doesn't like to be switched at point of sale. These are the keys to selling the Negro customer. Another point. The Negro family does things together, as a group. The family works as a unit. It lives as a unit. And it buys as a unit.
Interesting.
When you sell to one member, you many times sell to all. It's also true that many places of entertainment are still closed to the Negro.
Real quick. So for those of you that has a thing in your head that the government put drugs in the community, the entire government was in collusion with that, right? For those of you that say they broke up the home, do you know that's bad for business? You just heard here that the Negro buys things as a family, right? So why would they purposely want to depress their economy, hurting you? It's about money. When you say the government, you have to be specific because they're all not in a line with each other. This is bad for business to create a quote unquote single parent household when the family buys things, right? That's not good for America. Why would America want to do that? Doesn't America need taxpayers? Doesn't America need people to participate in the economy? So why would the entire American government have an interest in making single parent households or dividing the family when it's more profitable to sell to the family as a whole? That doesn't even make sense. You think the entire government was in on the crack cocaine epidemic? That affect people's businesses. Home buying went down. People started stealing out of stores. People ain't buying cars no more. You think this is about capitalism? Let me tell you something. A racist cares more about money than they do care about being racist. Every racist is still a capitalist. They don't have to like you to do business with you. Y'all tripping. But y'all say this, oh, the government. Who in the government? Because that's bad for business. You just heard it. The Negro buys things as a family, right? So why would they break up the family? Why would everybody in the government go along with that plan, right? So corporations' bottom line can be affected? Who profited? Y'all tripping.
So he spends more of his money for the things that are available to him, often for items that are considered luxuries. Another trait of the Negro market is the fact that it is a pre-sold market. We know that the Negro buys by brand, and he buys the brands that he knows something about. Where does the Negro buyer get this information? We know that Negro customers are turning more and more to the publications that are tailored specifically to their needs, that give them the news and the information that they want to read about. Many leading businessmen and companies already know this. That's why so many of them are taking this direct, sure route of reaching the Negro customer. The vice president of advertising of the Bruin Watch Company, for example, says this.
In many important cities throughout the United States, Negroes are important customers of the credit jeweler. Therefore, it seemed that Ebony magazine would be a very important advertising medium for us. We would say it was very well received, and from our viewpoint, a very successful campaign.
From the Remington Rand Company comes this statement.
Our records show that advertising in Ebony has been effective in many ways. As all good advertising should, it has built a terrific amount of goodwill and has brought a volume of sales and sales inquiries.
A representative of the Alaga Syrup Company makes this statement.
Because of Alaga's regard for the influence of ebony in the Negro market, advertising space was doubled. Alaga's long experience in selling to Negroes now takes the most direct route to its best customers, reaching Ebony's 2.5 million audience in every issue.
And here are the statements of still other business leaders.
Yes, many business leaders are discovering the most direct and most efficient way of reaching the new Negro market. Look here at the results of the same advertisement in two different publications, Ebony and another general magazine. You can see that proportionately, more men and women read the ad in Ebony than the one in the other magazine. And they did a better job of remembering it, too. A greater percentage of readers noted, associated, and remembered the ad in Ebony. But now, wait a minute. If the Negro market is so big and easy to reach, why aren't more companies going out after it? Well, often because of the feeling that there's something entirely different, unusual about selling to the Negro. But is it really so different? What do salesmen say? The successful salesmen who do a good job of selling in Negro communities. How do you go about getting the order?
How do I get the order? Well, to tell you the truth, I don't do anything. Anything different, that is. I've been calling on these accounts long enough to know that the Negro just wants to be treated like everybody else. No matter who you're calling on, a little friendliness and courtesy help a lot. Naturally, anybody resents being patronized or talked down to. So I usually call a man Mr. Brown, Mr. Smith, or Mr. whatever his name is, until he tells me to call him by his first name. And of course, I always stick to business. I stay away from talk about race or religion or politics. That goes for talk about Negro celebrities, too. You know, this business about what good prize fighters and singers the Negroes are. Who cares? When a guy's in business, no matter what color his skin is, he's interested in making a living, in making money. That's uppermost in his mind. I guess maybe what I'm saying is that I try to help any way I can. Sometimes with displays or ad materials, or an idea once in a while. The important thing is that if it helps push sales for the dealer, It helps push them for meat, too.
Handle the Negro account just like any of your others. Don't patronize. Stick to business. Get interested in the account. Pitch in and help any way you can. Sounds like pretty good sales advice. That's the secret of selling the Negro. Well, how about it? What do you think of this new market? It can open new outlets for you and for everybody who sells goods or services. It's still possible to get in on the ground floor when this market is just beginning to grow and to expand. The facts and the figures that we see here are just a small sample of what they promise to be next year and the years after that. Yes, here are men and women with money to spend, and they spend it for exactly the same things as you and I.
What did you learn? Anybody care to tell me what you learned? What'd you learn? This was 1954, right? Sales psychologists, right? So you see ads being placed in a magazine. Well, ads are placed on Facebook too. Ads are Twitter and IG. We're being constantly sold to, right? Right? What is this about? This is about money, right? Right? You see that, right? This is all about money. This is capitalism, right? The problem is that from that 1954 piece, we have just become consumers, and that's it, right? So when you talk about the balling aspect or the entrepreneur or the businessman or businesswoman, they are sometimes looked down upon. It's the person who has bought certain things. They are elevated than the seller, right? We look at the product more than we look at the seller, right? If I pull up in a Bentley, you'll be like, damn, that's a nice car, right? How many people is actually going to think how much money I dropped on it to the dealer though, right? You should think about the dealer. You know what I'm saying? Or where did I get this nice jacket from? Cool. How much did I spend on it? To them. That's the game. And because the need to be recognized, that is the killer. So when I'm talking balling blacks, I'm talking about how much money they're making. Speaking of balling blacks or blacks been balling, are y'all ready to get into some blacks that have been balling, right? So now we got all the oppression talk out the way. We already know that's cap, right? Are y'all ready to get into some black ballers? Yeah. I hope y'all writing these names down, and I hope you are looking these people up with your children. Right? Are y'all ready? I don't see nobody in the chat. Y'all ready to get into these balling blacks? Y'all want me to start with a man or a woman? Because you know I bring both. What you want me to start with? You want me to start with a man or a woman? Balling black women or a balling dude? Which one? Which y'all want? Which one? Woman or man? Woman. Okay. Y'all like that Hannah Elias, huh? All right. Y'all probably heard. Well, let's get into her because she just passed away recently. Right? Not too many people said this woman's name, right? She died at 98 years old. The first lady of Wall Street, right? Ernesta Procope. Ernesta Procope. Anybody ever heard of her? Let's find out about Miss Ernesta. Ernesta Procope, the history-making real estate magnate who established a profitable venture on Wall Street in 1979 when it was rare for Black women to succeed in corporate America, died at her home in Queens at the age of 98. Dubbed the first lady of Wall Street by Black Enterprise, Procope was founder and CEO of E.G. Bowman Inc., the first and largely minority-owned insurance brokerage in New York's financial district. Her influence extended to billboard directorships with Avon Products, Chubb Assurance at a time when only a handful of Black women could be found in the boardroom of the nation's largest companies. Moreover, Procope proved effective in persuading New York Governor Nelson Rockefeller to support legislation to enact the New York Fair Plan to guarantee the availability of homeowners insurance in low-income neighborhoods. As a result, 26 other states passed similar legislation. She just passed away last year, 98. Never heard of her, right? Taking on an industry that didn't see people like her set Procope apart from the very beginning. When it comes to real estate, Ernesta Procope, the first female on Black Enterprise's B100 list, is a Black history legend. A legend. The A.G. Gaston Lifetime Achievement Award winners 1953 creation of E.G. Bowman Co. broke ground as the first minority-owned insurance brokerage firm located in Wall Street in 1979. Uh-oh, my bad. Featured on the August 1974 cover of Black Enterprise, history-making issue dedicated to African-American female executives, Procope's influence extended throughout corporate America, thanks to board directorship with Avon Products and Chubb Group, a recipient of the Black Enterprise Woman of Power Legacy Award in 2006. She laid the foundation for women thriving in business. Right? I don't know if y'all know, she made sure that homes was able to be insured in low-income areas. That's not no small thing. Fire insurance, flooding, anything. Come on now. Listen to what she said. I never operated with the complex as a woman, as a Black woman, as a Black, but instead a person in business, she said. We knew there were problems, but I could not let that deter me, be a deterrent to me. So when I say oppression where, that's what I mean. What did she say? I've never operated with a complex as a woman, as a Black woman, as a Black, but instead a person in business. We knew there were problems, but I could not let that be a deterrent to me. That's what oppression where means. That's exactly what it means. Right? Having a successful business as a Black woman in the 50s was rare. Establishing a profitable venture on Wall Street in 1979 was an even greater accomplishment. Procope blazed a new trail not only for African Americans, but for women. At the urging of her husband, Brooklyn-born Procope received her broker's license and began a business dedicated to homeowner and auto insurance policies for those in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn neighborhood where she grew up, expanding to focus on real estate, rehabilitation, and development. Procope proved that financially stable middle-class families lived in Bed-Stuy to insurance companies. Her ingenious ideal to rent limos and bring insurance and executives from Manhattan to Brooklyn helped eradicate the erroneous and uninsurable perception. Expanding her power beyond one borough, Procope successfully pushed New York Governor Nelson Rockefeller to back legislation making home ownership available to all throughout the state of New York. A real estate expert and legend, Procope holds numerous honorary doctorates from Howard University, Adelphi University, Marymount Manhattan College, and Morgan State University. Have you ever heard of this woman? So when I say Black's been balling, I am not capping. People out here making moves. And it's interesting. You never know who they are. No disrespect, but you should not know a person who was killed by the police more than a person who made it So companies insure people's houses in low-income areas. You should not know a person that been killed by the police name before this person's name. So for you mothers, homeschooling or anybody out there, her name is Ernesta Procope. Ernesta Procope. Write it down. Find out if she has an autobiography. Because
from the bedside to the backcountry, every employee deserves a world-class digital.
Okay. Not sure what that was. Y'all ready for more blacks that been balling? Huh? Y'all ready for more blacks that have been balling? Right? I'm telling you, they are lying. And the reason why they are lying, because it affects self-esteem. And it's that dopamine, right? You don't have to take the hit of that new dope. Y'all ready for more blacks that been balling? Telling you, man, you got real life superheroes, and they don't gotta bounce a basketball neither. People that got it with their mind. Let's see if you know this person. Junius George Groves. Junius George Groves. He's born in 1859. Who is this man? Junius George Groves, born 1859, died 1925. Why is he important? He was an American farmer and entrepreneur, remembered as one of the wealthiest Black Americans in the 19th century and 20th century, known as the potato king of the world by 1902. Groves optimized potato growth methods, outproducing anyone in the world to that point. Do you hear that? All this talk about foundational Black Americans, but why they don't never talk about the Black ballers? Where's the baller talk at? Did you hear what this man? That make my hair stand up. Junius George Groves was an born 1959, right? This is before the Emancipation Proclamation. Was an American farmer and entrepreneur, remembered as one of the wealthiest Black Americans of the 19th and 20th centuries, known as the Potato King by 1902. Groves optimized potato growth methods, outproducing anyone else in the world to that point. His vast financial success, analyzed further in Booker T. Washington's The Negro in Business, you might want to write that down, was utilized to help combat racism by providing economic opportunities for other Black Americans. I need y'all to understand the reason why the Klan was formed. This was not just formed because not liking people's skin tone. No. The Klan and Jim Crow was because Blacks was balling. You don't need the Klan and you don't need Jim Crow for people that are unproductive. The reason why they was getting aggressive with American Blacks because of the balling, because European immigrants were coming to America starving to death. They didn't have the skills. They weren't the ones that was participating in the market. The balling Blacks were. So correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't China in the world? Isn't Russia in the world? Isn't Brazil in the world? He was the potato king of the world. And won't be no mention of him during Black History Month. I can guarantee it. He will not get a mention on BET at all. Matter of fact, let me write that down because I need to read that. The Negro in Business, Booker T. Washington, because it could be some more balling names in there. 1 second. I can't let that gem slip. The Negro in Business, 1907. See, this right here, this pushes back on the oppression narrative that these politician and Negro pastors are talking. This man's name will not be mentioned. Let's find out a little bit about his family. Giannis George Groves, the son of Martin and Mary Anderson Groves, was born in slavery, April 12, 1859, in Greene County, Kentucky. After emancipation, he received some public schooling 3 months out of the year, but taught himself to read, write, and understand mathematics. Hold on for a second. How come education is so important to old blacks? Y'all told me that it was white man stuff, but these blacks didn't seem to think so, though. He taught himself to read, write, and understand mathematics. Do you know why? Because you couldn't be a bum at this time. There was no boredom at this time. As a freed man with just 90 cents to his name, Groves ventured to Edwardsville, Kansas during the Exodus of 1879, where he married Matilda E. Stewart a year later. Let me write that down too. The Exodus of 1879. That's how I do research. I don't let little things slip. Because what is that? What happened during then? Exodus of 1879. 1 second. See, I'll be learning as I go. All right. The couple had 14 children. He was not pulling out. Not only did blacks been balling, black women been had fire. No pull out. All this twerking, that's not new. Black women been had. The couple had 14 children, 12 of whom survived into adulthood. After working as a sharecropper, Groves began purchasing farmland in 1884. By 1905, his holdings included about 500 acres. What the hell? Every time I be talking about these ancient blacks, they all have massive amounts of land. 500 acres? Wait, hold on. He and Matilda, let me see. He and Matilda grew the farm and were able to build a 22-room mansion. You think I'm capping? Right here. You might think I'm putting words in there. Look at this. He and Matilda grew the farm and were able to build a 22-room mansion. I'm not lying when I say blacks been balling. Call your mama right now and tell your mama blacks been balling. Call your mama right. Call your baby at work like, babe. He like, what? What's going on? I need to come home? Nah, I just wanted to tell you blacks been balling and hang up. Click. Get your kids wherever they at. Babies, did you know blacks been balling? We are fed lie after lie after lie after lie about capitalism, about production and our place in America. These are lies to the point where we underperform and we think that has been Negro behavior for the last 300-400 years, and it's not. These people are over here with 22-room mansion on their property? And nobody is going to mention their name during Black History Month, but we are. Somebody in the chat, hashtag Black's been balling. You got to get these people to hashtag Black's been balling. If this don't do something to your brain and make you get busy, as long as they're printing money, we should be able to get it. And anybody that says, well, money ain't everything, these old Black folks seem to think it was. Come on, man. 22-room mansion. Grove purchased and shipped produce, most famously potatoes, throughout North America. His other financial ventures include owning and operating a general goods store in Edwardsville, stock in mines in Indian Territory and New Mexico, and stock in Kansas Bank. He also founded or co-founded the Negro Business League, the Pleasant Hill Baptist Church, the Cobb Potato Association, and the Sunflower State Agricultural Association. Booker T. Washington, who featured Groves in his book, The Negro in Business, had high praise for him, describing Groves as our most successful Negro farmer. In 1902, Groves was considered the potato king of the world. His superior method to the production of 721,500 bushels of crop in a single year, outproducing anyone in the world at that point. That means China, that means Russia, that means England, that means Africa, that means South America. It said the world. His estimated worth, his worth was estimated at 80,000 in 1904 and at 300,000 in 1915. He is considered one of the most prosperous Black Americans in the 19th and 20th century. At the height of his success, he constructed a 22-room mansion equipped with the latest comforts of his era. Groves utilized his wealth and influence to combat racism. During the growing season, as many as 50 laborers, Black and white, worked on his farm. He founded a Black community center in Edwardsville and a golf course for Black citizens, perhaps the first of its kind. Blacks been balling. Y'all thought I was lying, though. You know what they tell me? Oh, you always find the one exception. These ain't exceptions. This is standard. Did you hear all the stuff this man did? His other financial ventures included owning and operating a general goods store in Edwardsville, stock in mines in Indian Territory and New Mexico, a stock in Kansas Bank. He also founded or co-founded the Negro Business League, the Pleasant Hill Baptist Church, the Cobb Valley Potato Association, and the Sunflower State Agricultural Association. He died at 66 from a heart attack. If he lived 20 more years, he would have still been grinding. Today's conversation is Black's Been Ballin's Part 2, America's Forgotten Grinders. They're not going to say this man's name. And y'all got homework. You need to own a copy of that Booker T. Washington, The Negro in Business, because it's some names in there. That came out in 1907. Who's in that book or that newspaper? But I'm tripping. Like, this Black success shit is uncommon. I'm tripping. Huh. Do y'all have his name? I'm going to put it in the chat for you. Because I know unless I say it in a song, ain't nobody going to remember it. Got to put a trap beat over it. That's his name. Y'all want to find out about some more ballin' blacks, or we good? Because I got more if y'all want to hear. I don't want to be the dead horse. But if you up and this is how you trying to get your Friday cracking, I could tell you about some more ballin' blacks. Let me get big real quick. Do y'all want to know about some more ballin' blacks? Or am I capping? Right? Finding out about mansions, bread, but racism. What you gonna do about it? What you gonna do about it? More ballin' blacks? Let's do it. Y'all asked for it. Yeah, I mean, y'all did this. Y'all did this. I was trying to mind my business. Y'all asked for this. Let's find out some more ballin' blacks. Let's see if these blacks be ballin'. Alonzo Herndon, born 1858. Look at the date. That's before Emancipation Proclamation. Alonzo Herndon, an African-American barber and entrepreneur. Alonzo was the founder and president of the Atlanta Life Insurance Company, one of the most successful Black-owned insurance businesses in the nation. At the time of his death in 1927, he was also Atlanta's wealthiest Black citizen, owning more property than any other African-American. Admired and respected by many, he was noted for his involvement and support of the local institutions and charities devoted to advancing African-American business and community life. That is Mr. Herndon on the left, right? And his brother on the right. Let's get into his business. Business success. Herndon's barbershop business expanded, and by 1904, he owned 3 shops in Atlanta. His shop at 66 Peach Street, outfitted with crystal chandeliers and gold fixtures, was advertised as the largest and best barbershop in the region. According to the Atlanta Journal, Herndon and his all-Black barbering staff was known from Richmond all the way to Mobile as the best barbers in the South. Following the racial practices of that era, the Black barbers served an exclusively white clientele composed of the city's leading lawyers, judges, politicians, and businessmen. As proprietor, Herndon personally saw to the barbering services provided to some of the most important figures in the state, earning their acquaintances and goodwill. His success in barbering was spectacular, and his earnings grew. He invested in real estate in Atlanta and Florida. Eventually, he acquired more than 100 houses, a large block of commercial property on Auburn Ave, and a large estate in Tavares, Florida. At his death in 1927, his real estate was assessed at $325,000. So you know I'm not capping. Somebody in the chat put blacks been balling. Blacks have been balling. This is only people that I'm finding. Some people out there got family journals everywhere. There's people in Kentucky, Texas, Oklahoma, everywhere. The more I look, the more I find. As his personal fortune grew, Herndon entered the field of insurance. In 1905, he purchased a failing mutual aid association, which he incorporated as the Atlanta Mutual Insurance Association, with Herndon playing a pivotal role as president and chief stockholder. The small association expanded its assets from 5,000 in 1904 to more than 400,000 by 1922. In 1922, the company was recognized as the Atlanta Life Insurance Company and achieved legal reserve status, a position enjoyed by only 4 other Black insurance companies at that time. The firm grew rapidly in 1920s, expanding its operation into a dozen new states, including Florida, Kansas, Kentucky, Missouri, Texas, and Tennessee. Herndon also sought to save other failing Black enterprises. Whenever possible, he reinsured the policyholders and merged the faltering business into Atlanta Life, and in an effort to conserve confidence in Black business and save jobs for Black men and women. Despite several crises in the industry and lean times generally, Atlanta Life under Herndon's leadership survived and progressed into the next decade as a secure and prosperous business. Do y'all see a trend? Y'all see a trend? Real estate, right? Now, mind you, you have to adjust that money for inflation now, right? So 325,000 in 1904 in today's dollars, that's probably like $30 million. I'm not just saying Black's been balling to be controversial. I'm not just saying it to be contrarian. I really mean it. Black's been balling. So if you're not balling, then you don't honor the ancestors. Because if you're willing to honor ancestors that was thrown over a boat, the story that you was told, why don't you honor these capitalists too and put some money in your life? Why don't you honor these ancestors and put some money on my Cash App? I'm playing, but I'm serious, because Black's been balling, right? Right? Wouldn't that be the Black way? Like, damn, he's spitting, right? Isn't that the Black way? Somebody dropping something, somebody coming with some value. Okay, yeah, let me put some paper down. Wouldn't that be considered the Black way? I'm just saying though, honor the ancestors. Oh, now you're like, man, this nigga tripping. Honor the ancestors, man. Black's been balling. Let's find out about some more ballers. Shout out to Alonzo Herndon. Write that name down. I got some more Blacks that have been balling. Right? You know, my problem is I be showing up in these jackets and these shirts and these haircuts. Niggas is like, man, hell no, I'm not giving you shit. Don't worry, I'm going to get it from somewhere, because Black's been balling. So if you don't pay me, someone's going to pay me, right? Don't let me tap into the white market, because you won't see me no more. I'm going to whoever paying the most. If I tap into the white market and I start doing white's been balling, your ass is done. Man, Ken done changed. Shit, man. Look, I'm following the ancestors, man. That's the American way. You niggas is tight. Let's find out where some Blacks been balling. Shit, Wayne Brady said, shit. I see why Ben Carson over there. That's where the money's at. Y'all playing, nigga. What we got here? Let me see who we got. Let's go with a woman. go with a woman. Let's go with a woman. Maggie Lena Walker. I'm not going to let you guys play colorism today, right? She's a black woman, right? Y'all like to pick and choose. Not today. Maggie Lena Walker. At the turn of the century, Maggie Lena Walker was one of the most foremost female business leaders in the United States. She gained national prominence when she became the first woman, not black woman, the first woman to own a bank in the United States. Walker's entrepreneurial skills transformed black business practices while also inspiring other women in the field. 1 second. Post that. Okay. Not black woman, first woman. Walker was born to enslaved parents in July 15th, 1964 in Richmond, Virginia. After the Civil War, her mother worked as a laundress and her father as a butler in popular Richmond hotel. Walker's father was killed, and she had to help her mother financially by working. Although his death was ruled a suicide, Walker later revealed that she believed he had been murdered. She attended a local school in Richmond and upon graduation began teaching. She stepped down from teaching after she married a successful brickmaker. When Walker was 14, she joined the Independent Order of St. Luke's, an African-American benevolent organization that helped the sick and elderly in Richmond, aka Eastern Star. Okay. With the organization, Walker held many high-ranking positions. In 1902, she began publishing the organization's newspaper, the St. Luke's Herald. She encouraged African Americans in Richmond to harness their economic power by establishing their own institutions through the newspaper. Walker had always focused her efforts on accounting and math. Her first business endeavor was a community insurance company for women. From there, she continued her entrepreneurial pursuits. In 1903, she founded the St. Luke's Penny Savings Bank. Walker was the first woman of any race to charter a bank in the United States. Is your daughters listening to this? Is your sons listening to this? Who are you listening to this with? Take me out of your headphones and let the whole house hear this. Walker was the first woman of any race to charter a bank in the United States. The bank was powerful representation of Black self-help in segregated South. The Penny Savings Bank not only attracted adults, but Walker worked to appeal to children by passing out banks which encouraged them to save their money. In 1915, Walker's husband was killed by her son after he mistook him for a burglar. Her husband passing left her in charge of a large estate. She continued working for the Order of St. Luke's, but also held leadership positions in other civic organizations, including National Association of Colored Women. She also served as vice president of the Richmond chapter of National Association of Advancement of Colored People, NAACP. By 1924, the Penny Savings Bank had spread to other parts of Virginia and included more than 50,000 members. While other banks collapsed during the Great Depression, St. Luke's Penny Savings survived. The bank eventually consolidated with two other larger banks and moved to downtown Richmond. It is still in operation today. After an illness in 1928, Walker was forced to use a wheelchair. Although limited in movement, Walker remained a leader in Richmond African-American community. She fought arduously for women's rights as well. For much of her life, Walker served as a board member of the Virginia Industrial for Girls. Not only do you see ballin, but you see positions of power being held on boards. You see these people starting churches. It's not just balling. It's not just the money, man. It's the positions of power being held. These people have every reason to quit, man, and they don't. Just caught the super chat. Shout out. He said, appreciate the game, bro. Blacks been balling. Honor the ancestors. Hell yeah, blacks been balling. Shout out to Tam Speaks. She says, blacks be balling. That ain't no cap. I'm not capping. That's real. Shout out to them for the supers. It ain't just the money, though. You see the education popping, right? You see a standard. It's not just the money that makes them ballers. It's the standard that they operate at, how they carry themselves. Yes, they had deaths in the family. Yes, they had sickness. Yes, it was people hating on them because they skin tone. But so what? They still managed to get it popping. But you're on Clubhouse chat rooms talking about mating and dating. Neely Fuller ain't a businessman. I'm sorry. I'm talking about the grinders, right? And collectively, 40 million people can't have power at the same time. There has to be a hierarchy, right? No disrespect to Neely Fuller, but I'm the young nigga. So I can read his books and I can be like, okay, cool. But I'm dealing with balling blacks. I love questions. Do we have power? Yes, you do have power. You have power to marry the woman that you had a child with. What kind of power are you talking about? You have power to be a good father. You have power to work out. You have power over what you eat. You got power over what you consume. You have power over who you become. Yes, you are. Yes, you do have power. Now, if you want to have group power, find 5 other dudes that also married the woman they have children with, that care about education, that care about building, and all 5 of y'all mate y'all children together. And that little group will turn into 15. And that 15 will turn into 50. I'm not with uniting with broken people. I love questions because I love smoke. Yes, you have economic power. You can put all your money in a politician's pocket and let them do the talking for you. The problem is, what did we go through earlier? Where are Negroes putting their money? In hygiene products. The Negro has to be accountable for what they do. We just went through the spending behavior of the Black American and where the money is. The blacks are spending their money in hygiene products, soap, haircuts. If you want change, go ahead and put some money in an envelope, slide it across the desk, and tell the politician to talk about those potholes in your area. That's how it's done. It's called hush paper. Shh. Yes, you have political power, economic power. You got the same power as everybody. The problem is there's too much entertainment going on and not studying the balling blacks. So we're going to move on to the next balling blacks. Oh my God, I didn't know this. Van Jones charges $200K. That ain't no economic power? Who's paying that? Who's paying that? But in all seriousness, the blacks have to look at their behavior. Notice I keep disassociating myself. Yeah, because I'm not doing that, right? I'm not part of that no more. It's backwards. The behavior is backwards. You cannot complain about political power, economic power. What are you doing on a daily basis? I'm about hush paper. I don't have to get on and tell you, yeah, we got this going on. What we're going to do is take a politician to lunch and let them know, hey, there's a bag under the table for you. I'll get with you. Peace. It's how it's done. You buy police. You buy judges. The mafia showed us that. Everything is for sale in America. Right? The police work for the people. Who pay them? The judges, the prosecutors. Ecclesiastes 10:9, the feast is made for laughter, wine maketh you merry. But money answers everything. Money answers everything. It doesn't say love answers all. It said money answers everything. So if you want the answer, get some money. Neely Fuller wasn't getting no money. No disrespect to him, but he wasn't getting no bread though. So he can't speak on the guap. I'm talking about the grinders, right? We do a lot of hero worship. John Henrik Clarke said, that's cool. But does he talk about the grinders though? You know what? That just made me want to bring up another black that been balling. Shit like that. No disrespect to the brother, but I can't go with that. I can't go with that, beloved. Right? I can't go with that. So now I got to bring up a black that been balling. Right? That's my counter for any kind of talk like that. Ooh, I ain't gonna talk about Elon Musk. I'm gonna just bring up a balling black because I can't take it. I can't take it no more. So let me bring up a black that been balling. Right? That's my answer to oppression to get rich and get some money. Gaston or author Gaston G. Or H.G. Gaston. H.G. Gaston. Let's find out about this, beloved. Entrepreneur H.G. Gaston is one of the most successful black businessmen in the United States. He went from starting a burial society for blacks in Birmingham, Alabama in 1923 to heading an empire that brought in over $24 million in revenue in 1991. Gaston's enterprises included the Booker T. Washington Insurance Company, the Booker T. Washington Business College, the Vulcan Realty and Investment Company, and Citizens Federal Savings and Loan Association. Lord have mercy. Having made a fortune serving blacks in an area of the country where white business owners often refuse them as customers, Gaston has stated in many interviews that one of his primary rules for business is find a need and fill it. Gaston was born July 4th, 1892 in the rural community of Demopolis, Alabama. His grandparents had been slaves before the Civil War. His father died soon as he was born, right? All right. His father died soon as after he was born, and his mother had to work as a domestic servant in homes of whites to support herself and son. According to Frank White III of Ebony, Gaston can remember the lynching of a young Demopolis black because he did not get off the sidewalk for a white woman. Y'all preferences though. Y'all preference. Experiencing racial prejudice as a child, however, did not crush Gaston's determination to succeed. He recalled in Ebony that he developed his flair for business at an early age while living with his grandmother. He had an old swing in our yard. We had an old swing in our yard, and all the kids used to come to our house to swing. Right then and there, I started the first Gaston business. I threw open our yard to all kind of kids in the neighborhood, and I charged them an admission price. Hell yeah, y'all gonna pay to swing. The admission was a button or a spin or a pin. Soon as I had a cigar box full of buttons and pins, all the women in the community knew where to come to get their buttons, and pins disappeared. Woo, smart. When Gaston was about 8 years old, his mother took a position as a cook, which forced him to move from Denapolis to Birmingham. There, Gaston attended the Tuggle Institute for Black Children. He was fortunate enough to hear Booker T. Washington. Yo, you keep hearing Booker T. Washington's name come up in everybody's thing, too. That just goes to show you, in the early 19th century, what kind of force Booker T. Washington was. There, Gaston attended the Tuggle Institute for Black Children. He was fortunate enough to hear Booker T. Washington, a Black leader who favored economic achievement and education over social and political change as a means of elevating conditions of Blacks in segregated South. I agree with that too. I'm not the social justice warrior. I'm trying to get some money. And I believe if you throw money at social justice, problem solved. Millions of dollars appeal to a person's moral conscience than me marching in front of their business. I'm sorry. After leaving the Tuggle Institute, Gaston earned money by selling subscriptions to a Black newspaper, Birmingham Reporter, and by serving as a bellhop at Battle House Hotel in Mobile. At first glance, what is this? My second wife. They were very co-founder, director. Let me see. Oh, okay. Born Arthur Gaston, July 4th, 1892 in Demopolis, Alabama, son of a domestic worker, married Clorea Smith, died married. Ooh, that's his lineage. Okay. Worked variously as a bellhop and selling newspaper subscriptions in Mobile and Birmingham, Alabama during the 1900s, early 1900s. Worked as a laborer in Tennessee coal and iron coal, sold peanuts and boxed lunches and loaned money. Founder of businesses including a burial society with father-in-law, A.L. Smith, 1923, incorporated as Booker T. Washington Burial Insurance Co., 1932, became Booker T. Washington Insurance Company, Smith and Gaston Fuel Directors, 1930. Look at all the businesses. Booker T. Washington Business College, 1939. Brown Bell Bottling Company, 1946. A. Gaston Motel, 1954. Valken Realty and Investment Co., 1955. Citizens Federal Savings and Loan Association, 1957. A. Gaston Home for Senior Citizens, 1963. A. Gaston Construction Company, 1986. Acquired New Grace Hill Cemetery, 1947. And WENN and WAGG radio stations, 1974. Founded A. Gaston Boys and Girls Club. That's a lot of shit. Awards, Achievement Awards, Black Enterprise, 1978. Entrepreneur of the Century Award. Damn. Man. I mean, that's a lot of balling. That's a lot of balling. Blacks been balling. I'm not capping. I'm reading these people's stories. Any more? Jeez. You add these to the names I said the other day, and it's like, wow. What about this man right here? What about this guy? What about him? Let me see if y'all heard of him. Right? Blacks been balling. What about Thomas T. Downing? Huh? Thomas T. Downing, born 1892, was an abolitionist and African American was an abolitionist and activist for African American civil rights while building a successful career as a restaurateur in New York City, Newport, Rhode Island, and Washington, D.C. His father had been an oyster seller and caterer in Philadelphia and New York City, building a business that attracted wealthy white clients. From 1830s until the end of slavery, Downing was active in the Underground Railroad, using his restaurant as a station for refugees on the move. He built a summer season business in Newport and made it his home. For more than 10 years, he worked to integrate Rhode Island public schools. After the war, Downing moved to Washington, D.C., where for a dozen years he ran a refectory for the House of Representatives. He was a prominent member of the Colored Conventions movement and worked to join the efforts of women's rights and black rights. He became close to Senator Charles Schumer and was with the legislature when he died. He was considered the Oyster King. Yeah. So this is Thomas T. Downing. There's somebody else's story I want to get into because this is an interesting character. So Thomas T. Downing, right? The Oyster King of New York. He was a restaurateur. Like an entrepreneur, he was a restaurateur. But I want to get into the person that set in motion ballin blacks. Saved his for last. Let me do my jacket. You've heard me talk about this gentleman. We're going to spend a little more time on him because he set in motion this ballin black thing. He set this in motion. Anthony Johnson. Somebody tell me what that says next to his name, please. What's that say? Because you know when I'll butcher a word when I read it, right? Sometimes I see letters backwards and stuff, right? Who's Anthony Johnson? And what does that say by his name? Anybody? Because I hear this word said, they said it on the Black Panthers, colonizer, colonizer. Well, what does that say by Anthony Johnson's name? What does that say? Does that say colonist? Wait a minute. Wait. A black man is a colonist? Wait a minute. I thought the colonist was white. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I need to read this story. Something ain't right. Anthony Johnson was a black Angolan known for achieving wealth in the 17th century colony of Virginia. He was one of the first African-American property owners recognized by the Virginia courts, held as an indentured servant. In 1621, he earned his freedom after several years and was granted land by the colony. He later became a tobacco farmer in Maryland. He attained great wealth after completing his term as an indentured servant and has been referred to the Black Patriarch of the first community of Negro property owners in America. Wait. There's a reason why they don't want to talk about balling blacks. Because if we start talking about balling blacks, we have to tell the truth. And it don't add up. Anthony Johnson was a colonist. Interesting. Do we claim him as an ancestor or no? Early life. I saved the best for last. In 1620, slave traders captured the man who would be later known as Anthony Johnson in Portuguese Angola, named him Antonio, and sold him into the transatlantic slave trade. Antonio was brought by a colonist in Virginia as an indentured servant. Antonio worked for a merchant at the Virginia Company. He was also Catholic. He sailed to Virginia in 1621 aboard the James. The Virginia muster census of 1624 lists him as Antonio not given, no last name, recorded as Negro in the notes column. Historians have some dispute as to whether this was Antonio, later named as Anthony Johnson, as the census lists several Antonios. This one is considered to be most likely. Johnson was sold as an indentured servant to a white planter named Bennett to work in his Virginia tobacco farm. Slave laws were not passed until 1661 in Virginia. Prior to that date, Africans were not officially considered slaves. So why do we be talking about for 400 years? Technically, wouldn't the Jubilee be, I don't know, 2061? For 400 years. All my life. All my life. Such workers typically worked under a limited indentured servant contract for 4 to 7 years to pay off their passage, room, board, lodging, and freedom dues. In the early colonial years, most Africans in the 13 colonies were held under such contracts of limited indentured servitude. With the exception of those indentured for life, they were released after a contract period. Those who managed to survive their period or indenture would receive land and equipment after their contract expired and were brought out. Most white laborers in this period also came to the colony as indentured servants. Antonio almost lost his life in the Indian massacre of 1622 when Bennett's plantation was attacked by the Potawatomi, who were the indigenous people dominant in the Tidewater of Virginia, were attempting to evict the colonists. He was considered a colonist. A black man was a colonist. They raided the settlement where Johnson worked on Good Friday and killed 52 of the 57 men present. In 1623, a black woman named Mary arrived aboard the ship Margaret. She was brought to work on the same plantation as Antonio, where she was the only woman present. Antonio and Mary married and lived together for 40 more years. Sometimes after 1635, Antonio and Mary concluded their indentured servitude. Antonio changed his name to Anthony Johnson. He first entered the legal record as an indentured servant man when he purchased a calf in 1647. Johnson was granted a large plot of land of farmland by the colonist government after he paid off his indentured contract by his laborers. Hold on. Why are white people treating black people like this? Why are they giving black folks land in the 1600s? I thought for 400 years. Y'all don't tell this story. You only tell one story, and it goes something like this. All my life, I had to fight. This is the only story y'all tell. You don't tell that this man had no land in the 1600s. Oh, it's going to get better too. Oh, we're going to find out the original black baller 400 years ago. See, y'all tell a different 400-year story. Y'all make it seem like, all my life, I had to fight. I had to struggle, snotting, crocodile tears, stepping, fetch it, different world watching. I'm going to get you sucker video playing, having first down jacket wearing, Columbia jacket, 9.5 Air Max, low down dirty shame loving, Nell Carter, give me a break, handkerchief heads, destruction of black civilization, Hotep niggas never told me about this. Wait a minute. On July 24th, listen to the year, 1651, he acquired 250 acres of land under the headright system by buying the contracts of 5 indentured servants, one of whom was the son of Richard Johnson. The headright system worked in such a way that if a man were to bring indentured servants over to the colonies, he was owed 50 acres a head or servant. The land was located in Green Naswatah Creek, which flowed into the, let's just call this the P River, in Northampton County, Virginia. With his own indentured servants, Johnson ran his own tobacco farm. In fact, one of these servants, John Kosar, would later become one of the first African men to be declared indentured for life. And who owned them? I keep telling y'all, blacks been balling. Who owned John Kosar? Oh, so Anthony Johnson ain't your ancestor, huh? You don't want to claim him because that's going to destroy the narrative of our balling. Now you got to own the whole story, 5. This man over here owning land that the courts gave him after he worked off his indentured servitude. But I thought from y'all, I thought that 400 years ago, we wasn't doing none of this. In 1952, after an unfortunate fire caused great losses for the family, and Johnson applied to the courts for tax relief, the court reduced the family's taxes. And on February 28, 1652, exempt his wife Mary and her 2 daughters from paying taxes at all during their natural lives. Wait a minute. Wait. In 1652, Black women of Anthony Johnson's family was exempt for paying taxes their natural lives. Wait a minute. Hold on, because y'all don't believe me, right? So they just had a fire, okay? They just had a fire. The courts reduced the family's taxes, and on February 28th, 1652, exempted his wife and Mary and their two daughters from paying taxes at all during their natural lives. Somebody say, at all. At all. AWLL. At all. Wait a minute. Wait. At all. These women ain't paying no taxes at all. But I thought 400 years. At all. Wait a minute. At that time, taxes were levied on people, not property. Under the 1645 Virginia Taxation Act, all Negro men and women and all other men from the age 16 to 60 shall be judged tithable. It is unclear from the records why the Johnson women were exempt, but the change gave them the same social standing as white women who were not taxed. At all. These black women wasn't even being taxed. These are the first divestors. They got the same social standing as white women. These women were divested. Mary Johnson, she had a black man, but she was divested though. She ain't paying no taxes at all. At all. ATAWLL. At all. During this case, the justices noted that Anthony and Mary Johnson have lived inhabitants in Virginia about 30 years and have been respected by their hard labor and known service. Wait a minute. During this case, the justices noted that Anthony and Mary have lived inhabitants in Virginia above 30 years and have been respected for their hard work and service. In the 1650s, Anthony and Mary Johnson were farming 250 acres in Northampton County, while their sons owned a total of 550 acres. I want to just mention an ideal. Maybe it's true, maybe not. When the natives attacked the land and was going to remove the colonists, right? How come they ain't kill Anthony Johnson? Why y'all think Anthony Johnson didn't get killed? Now they say he came from Angola, right? They say he came from Angola, right? Why do y'all think that they did not kill him? Why do y'all think? Maybe Anthony Johnson wasn't from Angola. Why does he have all these rights that he has? How come Mary Johnson don't gotta pay no taxes? Now they're telling you that they're coming over here on ships, right? But why do they have this treatment with the courts? Why do they have this land? And why are they being treated like this? Why do you think? Because they are original inhabitants of America. And they didn't come off no boat. Think about it for a second. After Anthony Johnson worked off his indentured servitude, why didn't he try to go back to the crib? Boats were still sailing, right? Why didn't during the Indian massacre, why he survived? Just think about that for a second, right? When you're reading, you got to take in, you got to think about things for a sec, right? Anthony Johnson, I don't believe came over here on a boat. See, it gets tricky because some Europeans begin to call people African and Negro and mislabel these people, right? Let me tell you why in a second I believe that Mr. Johnson was here already because of this case, this COSAR legal suit, right? Here's why I say that Anthony Johnson was from America. Listen to this. When Johnson was released from servitude, he was legally recognized as a free Negro. Now, listen, legally recognized by who? Now, what does Negro mean? Negro means black. Where does that word come from? Spanish, right? Okay. But was he that though? That's in their law, he was a free Negro. But how come they don't say free African though? Do you know they labeled indigenous Americans here Negroes? They labeled copper-colored people Negroes. Do you know that? Why is he not being called a free African? He's a free Negro. Okay. He became a successful farmer. In 1651, he owned 250 acres and the services of 5 indentured servants, 4 white, 1 black. Hold on for a second. We have never been taught that a so-called Negro has ever owned any whites. But Anthony Johnson does. Now listen, in 1653, John Casar, a black indentured servant whose contract appeared to have bought in the 1940s, approached Captain Goldsmith, claiming his indenture had expired 7 years earlier and that he was being held illegally by Johnson. A neighbor, Robert Parker, intervened and persuaded Johnson to free Casar. Interesting conversation here. Parker offered Casar work, okay? And he signed a term of indenture to the planter. Johnson sued Parker, right, in Northampton Court in 1654 for the return of Casar. Wait a minute. How is a black man, quote unquote, suing a white man in court in the 1600s? What's going on? The court initially found in favor of Parker, but Johnson appealed. In 1654, the court reversed its ruling, finding that Johnson still owned Casar. The court ordered that he be returned with the court dues paid by Robert Parker. So a black man and a white man are fighting over another black man on who owns this person. This was the first instance of a judicial determination in the 13 colonies, holding that a person who committed no crime could be held in servitude for life. How come Anthony Johnson, who they're calling a free Negro, can own this person and white? Who is this man? Though Casar was the first who was declared a slave in a civil case, there were both black and white indentured servants sentenced to lifetime servitude before him. Many historians describe indentured servant John Punch as the first documented slave or slave for life in America as punishment for escaping his captors in 1640. Punch was required to serve his said master or his assigns for the time of his natural life, here or elsewhere. The Punch case was significant, because it established the disparity between his sentence as a Negro and that of two European indentured servants who escaped with him, one described as Dutch, the other as a Scotsman. It is the first documented case in Virginia of an African sentenced to lifetime servitude. It is considered one of the first legal cases to make a racial distinction between black and white indentured servants. So you just caught a nugget right there. There was no difference between that, before that, between white indentured servants and black indentured servants. They had the same status. And we've seen here that Mary Johnson, a black woman, quote unquote, was tax exempt. And she had the same status as a white woman. Oh, we cooking, man. We cooking. The Casar lawsuits demonstrate the culture and mentality of the planters in 17th century. Individuals made assumptions about the society of Northampton County and their place in it. According to historian T.H. Brin and Stephen Ines, Casar believed he could form a stronger relationship with his patron, Robert Parker, than Anthony Johnson had formed over the years with his patron. Casar considered the dispute to be a matter of patron-client relationship, and this wrongful assumption resulted in his losing his case in court and having the ruling against him. Johnson knew that the local justices shared his basic belief in sanctity and property. The judge sided with Johnson, although in future legal issues, race played a larger role. We just learned, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that the story that they tell us is cap. Very cap. Cap-ish. Graduation cap. New era cap. Wave cap. Captain Planet. Captain Crunch. Captain America. Capricorn. Capoeira. All damn cap. If y'all gonna scream the oppression shit, you have to own it too. Because Anthony Johnson, oh, hold on, some caps in the building. Hold on. Y'all are Cappuccino, Captain Crunch, Colin Kaepernick, any other caps, because the story that we've been told about the ballin is all cap. Is it any other caps popping? Did I mention all the caps? Cappy Pondexter. Any other cap? Anthony Johnson was balling in the 1600s. His wife was tax exempt for their entire life. He's going to court to argue the possession of another man, and he owns white. His sons had 550 acres. Him and his wife had 250 acres. Let me tell y'all something. If you and your boo and your kids or whoever you work with, if y'all want to run the score up, hold on. Closed caption. Y'all are captivating. Copernicus. I don't know what this cap is, but that cap too. Dunce cap. So much cap. They tell this story to keep you down. You can see that racism was a creation that came later. But even in that, there's people that are operating in this. And I want to focus on the people operating in it. How are they making shit happen? We're learning about some real ballers out here, right? Look, if y'all want to travel, if you want luxury, if you want everything that this world has to offer, do not feel guilty because of what you like and how you choose to live. Live how you want from your hard work, fam. Do not let these Hattie McDaniel, Gone with the Wind, Sidney Poitier hair having, Bill Cosby, Ghost Dad, Jello eating, Robin Givens accusing, John Witherspoon and Boomerang, Thurgood Marshall, Mary McLeod Bethune, Sojourner Truth, Handkerchief Head, religious politicians living in Brownstone and Buckhead. Don't let them trick you out of your shit. They ball while they sell you oppression. They ball while they talk to you about race. They ball while they talk to you about social programs. They leave all the balling over here and come to you about race. Your black rich figures come on national television and talk to you about race. Van Jones gets on national TV and cries, talking about he's worried about his child while his children are in private school and your children got to go to school with. Oh. Almost called the babies a word. Mammals. You want to ride Benzes? Ride Benzes. You want to fly private? Fly private. You want to do whatever you want to do. Don't let these Negroes trick you. Because the Negro, Anthony Johnson, started it all. So claim him as an ancestor too. That's why when I go live, I'm going to pull up with the jackets, with the zippers, with the haircuts. I don't want to hear nothing. And when I die, I'm going to have the fire urn, right? If you want to visit me, my ashes will be spread out during the Grand Canyon, through the Grand Canyon, so you can come talk to me anytime. Fire urn, and I'm going to eat good. I'm going to F good. I'm going to lay in good beds. I'm going to enjoy my life. Because why are we here? Blacks been balling. Listen, check this out. I ain't a Marvel character. I'm not part of any DC or Marvel. None of that. I ain't Batman. I don't got tricks. I don't do none of that. I ain't Spider-Man shooting webs out of my wrist. I'm not a Thing or Mr. Fantastic. I don't got them abilities. But I am a superhero. I'm a nigga with waves. Until next time, remember, y'all, you got to put something down to pick something up. Triple B's, Blacks been balling. Ken Billy.
Biggest game, it's like, remember we was all back in high school? Some of you may be still in high school or whatever, but follow me. We had the regular class and then you had honors class. And I feel like Ken Billion's game is nothing but honors class. Everything that you learned in life and been through in life, or whatever he's talking about at that certain time, and, point of reference, game for guys. Everybody learn game from somebody and this and that, and it's all over the place. But once I listened to Game for Guys, it was like being in an honors class. Ken is a brilliant guy. I still listen to him to this day. Listen to him almost every other day, and I stay studying. And if I look at his video and he's giving us homework, I'm gonna look through that video. I'm gonna write my notes down. I'm gonna do my homework. Then I'm gonna watch the next video. I mean, you just can't get enough of the game and the knowledge that this brother brings to you. He's allowed me to look back into history, my own history. I found out about black people that I never even knew about, black millionaires and people like that. Recently, I learned about the reticular activating system, and that's something that I'm studying up on as we speak. Which I plan on reprogramming myself. You know what I'm saying? So overall, the Ken Billion's game has done a lot for me. It's allowed me to elevate as a man, as a father. It just allowed me to be more excited about life and not be in the program of being oppressed. And that's one of the main things for me that I have to say that this game has done for me. I'm so glad that I ran across it.